see. Kendrick
Everybody's
Marshall
impressed
doing
with the new intro.
Kendrick Marshall doing his big one, as the young folks say.
Had to break it out on the last day of 2024, man. But I want to know something from Ken Rashad, though. How did you celebrate your Lord and Savior's birthday, LeBron James, today?
What happened?
He turned 40, man. You're a Laker fan. You should be happy about this.
Was that today or yesterday?
Yesterday.
I think it was yesterday, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just not a good topic to bring up with me right now. You know why? You know why?
Why is that?
Why is that?
Because LeBron James shares the same birthday as my son.
Oh, no. Don't give him a hard time, man.
Who?
Your son.
Oh, I don't give him a hard time. You felt the need to bring it up about his birthday.
I mean, you're a big Laker fan. I mean, like, he's the best player ever had. So
he just needs to give it up, man.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I could take up a whole hour talking about my case for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the GOAT, but that's another episode for another.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the GOAT.
Mm-hmm.
You aren't by yourself.
All right, I just want to be sure.
Nobody wants to hear that.
But
you're
it's
both wrong. Let me just say you're both wrong. The GOAT is Brian Scalabrine. Everybody knows this. I don't know why we're even arguing this.
The White Mamba.
Fear the White Mamba.
Everybody knows this, and everybody knows that second place is Alex Caruso. Let's stop it. Come on, man. Let's be real.
Laker champion Alex Caruso.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's you got me. That's funny. That's really funny.
I'm pretty sure there's
a lot of people with their koofies on, like, you picked two white men, you ain't picked the brothers.
Umar is coming to your mentions. I beg your pardon. He's coming.
Yeah, so this is the last show of 2024. The full crew is here today. We got Jared Hoffman. We got Chris Stevens, who was apparently anti-Black Eyed Peas. Now, Chris, you anti-macaroni and cheese. You can't be anti-Black Eyed Peas.
Oh, yes, I can. I'm going to tell you something real quick. I know this is a superstition that has been passed down in our community for generations. Don't put them nasty behind peas in your mouth for good luck, man. Don't do it. It's pointless. I mean,
like
just
Black Eyed Peas.
Yuck. It's a no for me, dog. So
you don't like Black Eyed Peas. You don't like macaroni and cheese. I mean,
I'm gonna start calling Chris anti-Black. He's anti-Black, y'all.
I also put apparently I'm also anti-Black because I enjoy a bowl full of grits with sugar in them. So
ooh, savory
anti-Black
grits.
now.
Savory grits.
Yeah, man.
It is what it is.
You got the boss Ken Rashad here, who is still celebrating the J5 is coming.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be special.
And I'm here rocking my celebration mode t-shirt.
Hey, you didn't bring me one?
They gave this to winners, not the losers.
They gave it to media members. Don't be funny.
And Grambling did win one after all. I mean, they were the first SWAC school to win one, to be honest.
Kendrick is just being difficult. That's all. He's being difficult.
Yeah. But tonight's show, we're going to talk about football. We'll talk about coaching, get a little bit of basketball in there, and also a band controversy that's inspired by our co-host Chris Stevens here. So stay tuned for that. But first, we're going to talk about the news of the month. Black colleges have finally got around to hire some coaches, and they hired some big names in Michael Vick, DeSean Jackson. You got Tremaine Jackson, and you got Sam Say. There's others, Sean Gibbs, A&T. This goes on and on. I think this is like one of the few occasions where the majority of the schools who hired a coach in a cycle likely got them all right. They hit on all of them. I see he can't scratch his head, but like I think a lot of these hires are home run hires. So what do you guys think about this? Starting with Chris Stevens.
Well, I mean, I've already told you guys how. I mean, you guys can go to our YouTube page and see my thoughts on DeSean Jackson. Going to be interested to see how that works out. But I'm grateful that common sense prevailed in Huntsville, Alabama. They went ahead and got the right guy to lead their program in Sam Shade.
Sam Shade.
All that Ed Reed crap. No, enough. So Alabama A&M got it right. Prairie View A&M, I think they got the steal with Tremaine Jackson. I really do.
Look, I got something to say about PV in that hire. But go ahead.
I think they got the steal of the cycle with Tremaine Jackson. I mean, we already know how good he is. I mean, he's going to win a Division II national championship. So, I mean, you get a championship, national championship coach coming in to lead your program. And I was one of the ones that absolutely fried Prairie View for firing Bubba McDowell. But if I had known that Tremaine Jackson was going to be in the cut, I would have shut my mouth. So good on Prairie View. I do like Adrian Jones going to Elizabeth City State as well. That's a good chance for him to rebuild that program. And Sean Gibbs, the A&T, was just a natural anyway. But as you know, our esteemed boss Ken Rashad said, Florida A&M, you better not have a bad season, because boy, if A&T somehow finishes like 6-5, middle of the pack in the Coastal, and y'all don't make it back to the SWAC championship game, ooh, lordy, that's gonna be fun. But yeah, I agree with Kendrick. Most of the hires in the cycle, I mean, except for the ones that we don't know about with Vick and DeSean, those remain to be seen. But I feel like everybody else hit on their hires to date, and that is a good thing for Black college football.
Give it over to Jared Hoffman, because today he published a story where he actually graded each and every hire that's been made so far. A lot of good grades on this part, even though one school got a D. You probably know what that is. But Jared, what you make of all these hires, and what impact do you think these will have on the individual schools? Uh-oh, I'm frozen. Am I frozen?
No.
Jared, can you hear us?
Jared's frozen.
Is that my connection going back?
It might be.
Yeah, you, man.
Yeah.
Xfinity got you, man.
Okay. I might have to move.
Are you good, man?
Is that his connection or my connection?
No, that's your connection.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
we can hear you now.
Good.
This is live.
I'm frozen.
No, you're not now.
I can hear and see you. You're good.
I think he's lagging now.
Oh, he's lagging. Oh, okay. That's bad. Well, while we wait for Jared to figure out his internet, we can go to Ken Rashad.
Well, let me just say this. Just to kind of put some perspective on put context on Jared's piece. So he gave Sam Shade, who was the new coach at Alabama A&M, A. All right. He gave Delaware State a B for hiring DeSean Jackson. Right. He gave Elizabeth City State a C for Adrian Jones. He gave Norfolk State a B+ for hiring Mike Vick. He gave North Carolina A&T A+ for hiring Sean Gibbs. He gave Prairie View an A for hiring Tremaine Jackson. He gave Shaw a D for hiring Greg Ruffin. And I think that was it. So we put those things in perspective. And I don't know if it's too early in the show to go all in, but I guess I might as well be the one to start. Kudos to A&M, Prairie View, A&T, who else? Let me just say this. I got a problem with Norfolk's hire, and respectfully, Chris, I got a problem with Delaware State's hire. I really got a problem with Delaware State's hire.
And I know because DeSean is from LA, and his background is very clear. So I'm gonna let you cook.
Okay, so just from the standpoint of Vick to Norfolk, granted, didn't play there, didn't go to an HBCU. The fact that he's from the area, that makes sense. But the fact that DeSean Jackson, straight out of LA, I don't know. Chris, you might be able to tell. I don't know if there's a connection to Delaware State. I don't know if there are family members involved. I mean, is there any kind of kinship? I really would like to know how that went about. I read your piece, and I understand that they will look for splash time, but just I never knew DeSean Jackson had an interest in coaching.
Well, he was an offensive coordinator at a school in California last year, but that doesn't really.
I didn't know DeSean Jackson had an interest in coaching at this level. I'll put it like this.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone really knew DeSean Jackson was that a high school?
Yeah.
I mean,
and apparently the most famous Delaware State football player of all time is his uncle. So
okay. So there is a kinship there. But
yes, John Taylor is his uncle. So do with that what you will.
Retired. Just retired.
He did.
And I don't say this to be demeaning by any means. Does he have a degree? Does anyone know?
I cannot answer that question.
Because typically, it's if nothing else, you at the very least would ask that the head coach of the program have a 4-year degree.
Oh, Johnny Thornton in the chat just chimed in with the same thought.
And I mean, even if it means having to contact Talladega and say, hey, I'd like to get a 4-year degree. Can you transfer my credits so I can start coaching? Or Tougaloo. Was that Talladega or Tougaloo?
No, it was Talladega.
Talladega.
Oh, yeah, it was Talladega. Yeah.
I mean, so that's the first thing that came to mind. I'm like, damn, and again, I say this respectfully. Does DeSean Jackson have a college degree? And if he doesn't, shame on you, Delaware State. Shame on you for doing that. So I'm going to stop there because we're going to get deeper into that. But that was literally the very first question that came to mind when Delaware State, DeSean Jackson of all people. Now, granted, dude was cold as hell. He was cold. Badass wide receiver. I ain't gonna lie, he was cold-blooded. But still, I just let's stop because we're going to get deeper in that. We've got comments and stuff like that. Let's go on. Or better yet, Jerry, you can comment on that now.
Yeah, go ahead, Jerry. Yeah, he's back now.
You guys can hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So, as I think Kendrick said, I published a article where I graded all the head coaching hires so far this offseason. By far, to me, the best one was Sean Gibbs to North Carolina A&T, getting somebody who was a part of that championship, I guess you could call it dynasty from the 2010s, molding 3 running backs to the MEAC Player of the Year award, including Tariq Cohen, who went on to the NFL and went on to have an all-pro season, a disappointing end to his pro career, but he knows what it means to be a contender in Greensboro with A&T, knows what it means to be a part of that system, that culture. And he's got the stamp of approval from the alums, from former players. I think that who was that said that they were going to cut the grass themselves if they
it was Jameis Martin.
It was Jameis Martin. Of course it was Jameis Martin. So if Jameis Martin's happy about it, who am I to say that it's a bad hire? But looking at the other hires, when I made the list of the preferred destinations for head coaches, I said that Sam Shade should be the first person on the list for Alabama A&M, and lo and behold, so I really love that for them. He has deep Alabama ties, went to the University of Alabama, has coached at the high school and collegiate level at Alabama in the state of Alabama. So amazing hire for them. Tremaine Jackson for Prairie View A&M. I said on this stream, a previous stream, that I didn't know if Tremaine Jackson was going to be attainable for Prairie View A&M because I figured that he was going to get a lot of looks from teams during the offseason, and they found a way to make it happen. So the fact that they were able to get him is amazing. And elsewhere, I'm not mad at Adrian Jones to Elizabeth City State. He had a very underwhelming tenure at Shaw. He delivered them from the depths. they were in the depths before they hired him, and he made them a respectable program. But still, there were years where they were supposed to be a contender. They were supposed to be where Virginia Union is, or even where Virginia State is, and they just never got to live up to that potential. And quite honestly, I don't see the vision of Greg Ruffin at Shaw. I really don't. We'll see how it plays out, but I really don't see the vision. Maybe he'll prove me wrong. He did lead them to a 7-3 record in their first year after the football program was restored, but they weren't a CIAA team at that time. So we'll see how he does with, actually being in the CIAA. But by far, to me, the best hire was Sean Gibbs to North Carolina A&T.
Yeah, we can argue with that one. I mean, like Sean Gibbs, had done a fantastic job at Fort Valley State, was on the staff with Rod Brownway when they won all the Celebration Bowls as an assistant. And for him to come back home, it immediately makes him competitive, as we all saw the excitement from some alums and some former players who thought, North Carolina would be right back on track after hiring him. So I would say the Sean Gibbs one definitely is an A. I would say Sam Shade, obviously, that's an A. Tremaine Jackson is an A for sure. But a question for the panel, with regards to Vick and DeSean Jackson. I was reading a piece by on Anscape by William Roden, the great writer who kind of chronicled like what happened with the Vick hire, and he actually got a contact with Sonia Sears, the commissioner of the MEAC, and he asked her, like, what does it mean for the MEAC? And she said it definitely makes both those programs more visible, and it definitely makes the MEAC more visible. So as we know, the last couple of years, the MEAC has some defections, only got 6 football teams now. There's been talk of maybe expansion coming down the line. So what do those hires of Jackson and Vick mean for the MEAC? Does it make them a stronger conference, despite the fact neither one has proven anything just yet? But just from a visibility standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, like how does that kind of help the MEAC in the long run, you guys think? Starting with Ken.
I mean, the visibility will help each will go to Norfolk State as well as Delaware State. There'll be visibility there, I guess, for those schools. And depending on, what the media wants to make of this, I mean, it's okay, man. I want to be careful not to go overboard with the hires, but I don't know if Michael Vick at Norfolk State or DeSean Jackson at Delaware State, I don't know if those two are going to make the MEAC any more or any less stronger. I really don't. All I know is that 2 of the coaches who were coaching in the Celebration Bowl came up pretty much in a way that you would expect a head coach to come up. They paid their dues. They made the necessary stops. They did the necessary work. And when they provided the opportunity to lead those programs, in the case, TC Taylor, Jackson State, and South Carolina State coach
Chennis Berry, they did what you would expect any coach to do, or at the very least, they had the resume that if you were to consider those individuals for a head coach, they did it. But so to answer the question, Kendrick, no, I don't think it's going to make the MEAC any more or any less stronger, because I'm not even necessarily sure that the people who hired DeSean Jackson or Michael Vick necessarily did it to make the programs any better. Because I'm going to address the issue for those hires have much more to do with what they have not been doing in prior years. And this is nothing but a Band-Aid to basically cover up a very shaky, very loose foundation. That's what this is. And we've seen examples of it to a certain degree with Jackson State. Deion Sanders comes in. Deion Sanders immediately notices that certain things, facilities and so forth,
aren't necessarily up to what he would expect the school to have. And, was able to make some calls and make some things happen to where there were some facility upgrades for Jackson State, so that by the time he left, Jackson State was able to leverage that, and look where they are right now. But again, we all know there's only one DeSean Sanders. DeSean Sanders, you see what he did to Colorado in 2 years. Not many coaches, regardless, you got coaches who've got years and years of experience. There are not many coaches who can just come in and just turn around a program overnight. So credit to DeSean Sanders in that regard. But for Delaware State, a school that, again, I say this respectfully, Chris, and he even alluded to this on, you don't necessarily, it's not a school that just automatically comes to mind first and foremost when you were talking about HBCUs. Norfolk State, outside of what we've seen, past couple of years with basketball, Norfolk State is not just another program that comes to mind when you're talking about football. But then you go out and you hire someone, and I'm gonna just go out there. This has been already said before. A person like Michael Vick, I understand he was I think very transparent during his press conference, and stating that he knew about Norfolk State, but when you're that age, coming out of high school, the fascination of playing behind, in front of large crowds, the bright lights and national TV exposure. Man, when you're 18 years of age, I get that. I get that. But still, that was a decision that you made. And nobody holds it against you. And I don't necessarily hold it against Michael Vick for becoming a head coach at Norfolk State, because it was the presidents and the higher ups who made that decision. It's just, this is just lunacy to me, man. This is just, are we going to get to that clip? What do you?
Get to the clip I'm playing right now.
Let's get to this clip, because I don't want to get sidetracked. Let's get to that clip.
Yeah, to set it up. So there's a lot of people who feel the same way that Ken Rashad does about how maybe Michael Vick and DeSean Jackson are not deserving to be head coaches because they didn't take the same path to get to be a college head coach. And some longtime coaches within Black college football has. One of them, Terrence Graves, he appeared on the Carlos Brown show most recently and made comments about how he felt about celebrity coaches and how oftentimes people like him are not seen as viable candidates because they've been Black coaches for like a very long time. So here's thoughts on the whole thing.
I had this conversation the other night. And like I said, people are gonna do what they want to do, and that's their choice. But it's hypocritical to tell us to come to our schools, play at our schools, graduate from our schools, grow, develop, work hard, do things the right way. And then when it's time for us, because I hear it in my head, boy, I can't tell you all the coaches, the great legends that say, boy, keep doing it because you got to take our place one day. You got to do that. So you work and you prepare for those opportunities. And then when those opportunities come, the first thing they say is, our people now, the first thing they say is, well, all he is an HBCU coach. We need to think outside the box. We need a coach from a FBS school. We need ex-pro coach. We need this. So you told me what to do, and I did it successfully. And now when it's time for me to take the reins, what you told me to do is not good enough now.
So what do you make of those comments from Terrence Graves, who spent 30 years in the game before he actually had the opportunity to be a head coach full time? Starting with the let me just simply say,
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Chris. I've said enough. Go ahead, Chris.
I cannot disagree with Terrence Graves at all, because that brother grinded. And remember, this was a dude who was a interim at Grambling. He was an interim at Southern. And then the Southern Board of Trustees tried to play in his face when he was going to get hired full time. And lo and behold, his first full year, he wins the SWAC West. So it's like, how much more do you have to prove to your own people, as he said? So I can't disagree with Terrence Graves one at all. Like, he's 100% correct on this matter. The only problem is that we HBCUs are pinned up against such a wall when it comes to everything with respect to the resources, the underfunding, and everything like that, that the desperate move of hiring a celebrity coach is a way to somehow get money going. I mean, Tennessee State, I mean, and it's unfair. I mean, we're not picking on Tennessee State. I don't want Tennessee State people to think that we're just like, coming down on them, because I mean, look at Eddie George. I mean, he didn't even want to coach, and now Tennessee State's the only place he wants to be, and he has them at an FCS contending level. But if Tennessee State was getting the money it was owed, then they wouldn't have to resort to hiring Eddie George. I mean, it's worked out for them, so this isn't any shade, any disrespect. Jackson State, we already know what Mississippi's on. I mean, Brett Favre and, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, stole millions of dollars from the welfare fund and other sources that could have used that money. And HBCUs are just struck. Sean, stop. You cut me off right on my train of thought.
No, finish. Please don't do that.
Okay, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with Terrence Graves 100%, but unfortunately, this is the position HBCUs find themselves in, that the money matters, that, whatever Michael Vick is going to bring, whatever DeSean Jackson is going to bring, what Deion Sanders brought to Jackson State, what Eddie George could possibly bring to Tennessee State. This is where we are right now. It sucks for those coaches who have grinded, worked hard, climbed the ladder, as Ken Rashad said, paid their dues, but I mean, there's going to be a lot of outside the box thinking administrators now that these administrators are getting younger and younger and younger, because I don't think anybody who was a university president, and I'll say probably even the early 2000s, would have hired an NFL coach off the rip, an NFL player off the rip. But now that we have like this younger millennial mindset, like we got to appeal to the kids, we got to be hip, like how you're old, how old folks like, I'm just trying to be hip, now we've got admins and presidents and ADs that are trying to be hip, and it's hip to go for a splash hire. And unfortunately for Norfolk State, they have not won an official conference championship since 1984. Delaware State's last conference championship was 2007. Got to do something. And yeah, it like I said, it does. It's terrible for the coaches who want to move up, or the coaches who would relish that dream job. But until something changes with respect to funding and different things, that's what it is.
I want to respond to this comment right here. And Ruben, you're exactly right. We would not be talking about Norfolk State football or Delaware State football, save for Chris Stevens, if these hires were not made by either school. I mean, like I was talking to Michael Sauls, who's the reporter for the Virginia Pioneer, who covers Norfolk State and Hampton for that newspaper. He mentioned like nobody's really talking about Norfolk State football now, but before then, before Michael Vick became associated with Norfolk State football, nobody talked about the school then. So on that point alone, Ruben, you're right, because we are talking about them more. They're going to be more visible. You got Allen Iverson showing up at Norfolk State, the press conference. Michael Sauls told me like Michael Vick can't walk into any high school in the state of Virginia or 757 and people not know who he is. So it's going to be an advantage for them to get recruits because it's Michael Vick there and not somebody else. I mean, they tried Dawson Odoms, who was very successful at Southern. That didn't work out. They've tried other coaches too over the years that did it the right way. There were assistants in Black House football before, and it didn't work out. So they got nothing to lose by trying Michael Vick. The same with Delaware State. They tried Lee Hall. It didn't work out. They tried other coaches who kind of went that similar path as him. It didn't work out. So there's really no downside to this. I mean, they could lose, obviously. It's a downside to it. But, like, the upside is much higher than whatever downside there is. So I kind of – while I understand, Coach Graves' plight and other coaches' plight who kind of feel they're being overlooked for a celebrity hire, like Bill Belichick coaching at North Carolina right now. That's a Power 4 school. And they decided to go the celebrity coach route themselves. So this is the way it's trending right now. I mean, it's
whoa,
always kind of
whoa,
been trending that way.
whoa.
No,
I got to push back on that, Kendrick.
No, let me finish. I'm going to say, like, ex-NFL guys have always coached at the black college level, whether it be football or basketball. But the type of names we're seeing now might be a little bit different than before. But yeah, like, this is the way it's going. Like, I really can't blame schools for doing what they feel like would be in their best interest, will help them win, get recruits, get more visibility, and more importantly, get more resources to their school. So, well, I know Cameron Saga's opinion. I don't agree with it. I think like schools like Delaware State, schools like Norfolk State, they got to try stuff like this in order to be successful. Because there's more than one way to win, and there's room for everybody in black college football. All right, go ahead, Ken. Tell me I'm wrong now.
I want to push back on the comment you made about Bill Belichick going to North Carolina, indicating I don't know if I would call that a celebrity hire. That's a splash hire, but Belichick got receipts. UNC hiring Belichick, it's a win for UNC, but that's not an outrageous hire. Norfolk State hiring Michael Vick, and Delaware State hiring DeSean Jackson. Again, all due respect to Chris Stevens, those are outrageous hires. They make no sense. I know why they do it or why they did it. But fundamentally, for a football program, it makes no sense other than to gain, I guess, news. Okay, you get some celebrities come there. But what happens when they leave? Because there is a time when they are going to leave.
I'll push back on this with you, Ken. Like, there's only two types of coaches you're going to get. Ones that's been fired before, or somebody that's brand new who never done before. That's the pool you're getting from.
No,
and Michael Vick and DeSean Jackson
that's the route. No, that's the route that those schools decided to go.
No, that's normally how it is. Like, you ain't getting no top level coach unless you decide to leave the school or he gets fired, or you ain't getting no hot coordinator unless you decide to leave the school. You're only getting them if somebody no longer wants them no more, or it's going to be a first time head coach. Those are the two pools you're dealing with. Like,
Terrence Gray,
I understand, like, from a football standpoint, hiring somebody with no head coaching experience in the college level before is a risk. Every coaching hire is a risk.
Terrence Gray said it best, and he says something later on in that clip, basically stating that if his skin color had been different, and if there were, like, let's just say you've got a hot shot head coach who's been pretty successful, and he's got like maybe a plethora of assistants. Typically you have schools who would love to go after the so-called after an assistant, because you always want to go like, okay, if we can't get the head guy, then we'll love to get one of his assistants to lead one of his programs. He indicated that he's got 9 championship rings, and that if he were white, he probably would have gotten calls from other programs about coming to lead their program as a head coach because of his success level as an assistant under coaches who did the job. That hasn't happened. So I guess what I'm saying is that look at the programs right now who hired coaches who got assistants that played under the coach at Alabama. Some of those assistants right now are playing in the college football playoffs. They played under Saban. And so we can't get Saban, but let's get one of his assistants. That doesn't, he indicated himself, if he were white, he probably would have gotten a call by now, way before now. So there's validity in what he says. And if Norfolk State and Delaware State are both in a position where they say, okay, well, we've gotten to this point, then that says a lot about what they've been doing or what they have not been doing, say, over the past 10 to 20 years. Because there are a lot of I guess I look at some of these the teams that participated in the playoffs. Now, for the most part, those they got some programs that were pretty solid. They don't go out and get no celebrity hires, man. They go ahead and they hire coaches that none of us probably had never heard of before. But some of those players some of those teams who made deep runs, well, now those coaches, who probably got 2-3 rounds into the college football into the FCS playoffs, they're probably on somebody's short list now. So I got to push back on that. I think there's some validity there. I just think that okay, put it like this. Here's the question I think a lot of you guys need to ask. To Norfolk State and Delaware State, I know you may have made a celebrity coaching hire, but I'd like to know, have you been able to fundraise like a celebrity? How much money have you raised over the last 10 years in donations? How much money have you been able to raise over the last 10 years in donation? You can hire a celebrity coach, because Kendrick, you've heard me say this all the time. I've always said that people say that HBCU alums don't give back to HBCUs. And I say, no, that's not the case. HBCUs simply just don't do a very good job of fundraising. But you can go out and get a damn coach with zero coaching experience. So I'll leave it at that.
Here's my thing, and I'm going to cede because I know Jared, hasn't had a chance to speak yet, but I just want to say really, really quickly. Delaware State is just, I'm always going to stick up for my institution as much as they get on my nerves sometimes. It's just part of the alum in me. But I'm as much as I have questions about DeSean Jackson, I'm more concerned with the fact that we're a program with an extensive history that no one talks about. We have 6 MEAC championships: 1985, 87, 88, 89, 91, 2007. We don't do a good job of talking about how we've placed guys in the NFL, like John Taylor, Rod Milstead, a previous coach, Denarian McCants, who was a receiver for the Commanders for a good while. We don't do a good enough job of extolling the virtues of our athletic program. And if DeSean Jackson is going to be the one to do it, then by God, so be it. I'm tired of losing. I am tired of losing. I'm tired of coming on here complaining and y'all laughing at me and joking. And it's all in good fun, but I'm ready to win. And if DeSean Jackson is ready to win and he's going to do everything possible to have this 12-year streak of not having at least 6 wins stop, fine. I'm with it. I just hope that the university has not bitten off more than it can chew in that respect, and time will tell. But until DeSean Jackson proves otherwise, I don't have a reason to doubt this decision, but we'll see. And that's all I wanted to say.
Hey, go ahead, Jared.
The thing that I want people to stop doing is stop comparing these hires to one example. This one example that you are clinging on to. I'm going to reiterate. Deion Sanders did an amazing job at Jackson State, but he is one of few. The only other example prior to Deion of someone who didn't have any collegiate experience and had success at the college level, coaching at the college level, is Larry Little at the HBCU level specifically. That's the only true example that I can think of someone who had no coaching experience at the college level. I don't even think Larry Little had high school experience coaching. I could be wrong about that. But there is no other example that you can look at. Like stop. The reason why Deion was so successful is because we're not giving his staff enough credit. We're not giving the players that he recruited enough credit. There's not many coaches that can recruit a Shador, can have Shador be his son and get him to go to Jackson State. Get Shiloh to be his son and come to Jackson State. There's not a lot of coaches that can recruit a James Houston, an Aubrey Miller, a Travis Hunter, a Cameron Silman Craig. There's not a lot of coaches that can do that. Yeah, Michael Vick has a great pull on the state of Virginia. Who's going to be on his staff and what kind of players is he going to attract? What kind of mindset are they going to come into Norfolk State with? What kind of mindset is the players that DeSean Jackson, who, congratulations to him, has 5 FBS transfers that are already committed to his team? But what kind of players is he bringing in? What kind of mindset will they have? What kind of coaches is he going to have on his staff? What are they going to instill into those players? Just because they step on the sideline, it doesn't guarantee they're going to have a winning record. There's been plenty of coaches who were NFL players who even had coaching experience prior to becoming head coaches that flopped. So it's not a guarantee. We got to stop thinking that just because we have 1 or 2 examples over hundreds of years of college football, that's the standard. That's normal. It's not normal. What DeSean is doing is extraordinary. At Jackson State and what he did at Colorado, extraordinary. It's not the norm. What Larry Little did at Bethune-Cookman was extraordinary. It's not the norm. Even what Doug did in the 2000s with Grambling is extraordinary. And even he had coaching experience coming into Grambling State. He coached before. He coached at Navy.
He was at Morehouse he was the head coach at Morehouse,
and then he was
before
at Grambling.
Right.
So let's stop acting like this is the norm. These guys still got to go to work.
According to Kendrick, it's become the norm, though.
It's not the norm. I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
No. So, but my point is, it remains to be seen yet how impactful or how successful these selections will be. We won't know this. Well, I guess we'll have some idea by this time next year.
Will players look at these schools that have these head coaches and think, "Oh, I want to play for Michael Vick. Oh, I want to play for DeSean Jackson"? Yes. It doesn't mean that they are going to be good enough when they step on the field. They still got to step on the field and perform. DeSean is able to do what he does because the players stepped on the field and they performed. The coaches on his coaching staff put together a game plan that worked. And so did Larry Little. He put coaches in place and he put the right players on the field, and they performed. DeSean Jackson and Michael Vick still have to get the coaches in place, and they still have to pick the right players who fit into their system, and they have to perform. It doesn't mean that just because these players become your head coach, you magically get millions of dollars in revenue and you get winning seasons and you're going to be a conference champion and you're going to be a national champion. It doesn't guarantee that. You still have to do the job.
Yeah, like Ruben said, I mean, like, even still, like, no matter if you hire an experienced coach as well, like, they still got to recruit well, they still got to coach well, they still got to develop players well. So no matter who you hire, all those things are going to be requirements to be successful. And I think, like, for schools like Delaware State, Norfolk State, who really hadn't had a long history of success at their level, I mean, like, it doesn't hurt to try something different. I mean,
my thing is that there's a difference between, of course, any coach that comes in, you're going to have to perform. But there's a difference between a coach like Rod Broadway, who performed at North Carolina Central before he came to North Carolina A&T, or a coach like Chennis Berry, who performed at Miles before he came to South Carolina State, or a coach like Sam Shade, who performed at Miles before he came to Alabama A&M. And there's a difference between a coach that I know has delivered in the past, trusting him to deliver now, than a coach who has never had any experience and is only in this position because of his name that, to give him credit, he built up. He had to play to produce, to build his name up, to be fair. But that doesn't mean that's different when you're talking about a coach who has built up his name coaching than hiring a coach who built up his name playing. And we have no track record of him as a coach.
Now let me say this. This argument, or what we're seeing right now, probably wouldn't be, because I don't want to get away from the basic point that Terrence Graves was trying to indicate. This probably wouldn't be so bad for me if we actually had stellar HBCU coaches who were being plucked to go on and lead FBS or other PWI, FCS, or FBS programs. We don't see that. We saw what Pete Richardson did while he was at Southern. And while there may have been some inkling of him possibly leaving to interest in by other programs to become the head coach, I don't that run that Pete Richardson had while he was at Southern. I don't recall, and you guys from Southern, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I don't ever recall anyone ever making him an offer to come a PWI. I don't recall anyone. Now there was some interest in Rod Broadway. He went and he interviewed with East Carolina, I believe. There may have been another program or two, but they didn't hire him. I don't see anybody knocking down the door that I'm aware of asking about hiring Trey Oliver. I want to see if TC Taylor continues this run. I want to see if there are going to be some PWI or FBS programs knocking down his door to do so. Because instead, you know what our HBCU head coaches have had to do? They had to leave as HBCU coaches and go to other FBS or PWI programs as assistants before they got their opportunity to coach at a FBS program. We saw this recently with Willie Simmons, who left FAMU as the head coach to take an assistant position at Duke. We saw it with Jerry Mack, who had led North Carolina Central to the Celebration Bowl. He left there as a head coach to go down to Rice as an assistant. And then he had to go to Tennessee as a running back coach. And I think left Tennessee and I took an NFL position before he became the head coach, just recently named the head coach at Kennesaw State. That's the route that our HBCU head coaches have to take before they can become head coaches at FBS programs. Yeah.
There's only two coaches that made the jump from an HBCU to an FBS school. One is DeSean, and the other one was Jay Hobson.
Come on, man. And Jay Hobson. But come on. Like I said, we just said that. We just said that. There's no one can do what Deion Sanders did.
Well, you forget one.
Kendrick. And Jay Hobson, yes, he made that. And I was going to make that point. Jay Hobson, but we saw how that turned out.
Kendrick, you forgot.
Go ahead, Chris. Who?
Willie Jeffries.
I'm not
right,
okay,
yeah,
I know that. But what I'm saying, but how long ago was that? He went to Wichita State, right?
1979.
Right. So that's my point. It doesn't happen. And right now, our HBCU head coaches, we have to take alternative paths before we become head coaches at Division I PWI institutions. I'm done.
Thank God he's done. So with the recent hires that have been made, there are 4 jobs left now. And these schools are looking for full-time coaches. I know some schools have named interim coaches, but haven't had a full-time coach yet. So Mississippi Valley State, Fort Valley State, Miles College, and Lane College, they're all in need of full-time head coaches at the moment. So fellas, what do we think, or who do we think would be good for these remaining 4 jobs, starting with Jared?
Starting with Mississippi Valley State, whoever says yes. Fort Valley State.
Wait a minute now.
Come on, man. Whoever says yes, they shouldn't have let go of Kendrick Wade. They're not better or worse without Kendrick Wade. They're just at where they're at. Look, I love all my HBCUs, but we're not gonna lie. Anyway, Fort Valley State. I mean, I don't think there's any harm in naming Kenneth Ray, who is the interim coach now, naming him the full-time head coach. I think he's a guy that has extensive history of coaching, not only at the HBCU level, but the college level in general. You know, and I think he's somebody that the players already are familiar with in that locker room. And I don't think you can get – I think you could probably get any get better, but like I think that Kenneth Ray deserves a shot as a head coach. This has been my only argument with all these celebrity head coaches and stuff. That sure. If he says yes, then yes. Give him whatever he wants. If he wants a private plane, give it to him. If he wants $1 million, give it to him. If
I don't think they can afford that, Jared.
If he wants an autographed microphone from Michael Jackson, find a way to give it to him. Find a way. If he wants a waterfall in his office, give it to him. Mississippi Valley needs any coach they can get. Anyway, moving on. So yeah, I like Kenneth Ray to Fort Valley State. Miles,
Lord have mercy.
I've been saying this for so long. I want Anton Sewell to get a head coaching job. Unless he just doesn't want to be a head coach, I think he warrants a shot to be a head coach. And I think Miles College is a great place to start. A team has a defensive identity that he can mold, and I think he can continue what Sam Shade started with this team. I like him in that position. Yeah, I think that he would be a great look for them. Lane, Tommy Lewis has been named the interim coach there. I don't mind. Who's Alabama A&M's offensive coordinator that always follows Connell Maynard? I think he would be a great hire for them. I think he's somebody that would be a great hire for, or if Connell Maynard decided he wanted to coach Lane, that'd be a significant step down for him. But I like either him or I gotta get the name of the offensive coordinator. But yeah, I think either of those guys will be good hires for them because Lane has two running backs who are SIAC Player of the Year caliber, but you know the SIAC is stacked with offensive talent. So, but yeah, I think those would be two great fits. Or Langston's head coach.
Quentin Morgan.
Yeah, Quentin Morgan, who I said in my original article of the preferred coaches for each destination. I think Quentin Morgan would be a great hire for any of these positions. But
is it Dwayne Taylor at A&M?
Dwayne Taylor, that's what it is. Yeah, Dwayne Taylor. I love to see Dwayne Taylor get a shot to be a head coach. You know, I think I don't want to get the stat wrong, but he's one of the few old coordinators that has had 2,000-yard receivers on the same roster. So I think that he would do great work for any of these teams, but especially Lane. Stop.
Someone said Tony.
We really got to stop.
Okay, man, come on. All right.
He's got to be a banned word.
So someone said Tony Hole interviewed at Valley. Is that Cedric? Is that
Tony
right?
Hole? Lee Hole?
No. Tony Hole used to be was the offensive coordinator at UAPB.
Oh, okay.
Before that was the offensive coordinator at Grambling under Hugh Jackson.
Oh, okay. All right.
So that's interesting. You know what? A name that I'm surprised no one has mentioned. Bobby Rome.
Yeah, you stole my answer, Ken.
Oh, okay.
Shoot, Jarrell Jackson at Texas College.
Yeah.
I
was gonna say any of these positions would be great for Coach Rome. I mean, he's coached in the SIAC before. I mean, he coached at Central State previously, and but so either Miles, Lane, or Fort Valley would be a great. But as Jared said, it feels like Kenny Ray deserves that position at Fort Valley. They just need to go ahead and elevate him to full time, to be quite honest. But Miles, Lane, Fort Valley, a name that I'm going to throw out there that a lot of people may not know or may have forgotten about, and I think Larry Scott is going to wring my neck the next time he sees me because he wants to hold on to this guy so bad. But my dude Torrey Woodbury, who was a former quarterback at Winston-Salem State. Played for the New York Jets. He's currently the special teams coach at Howard. He was he was a scout with the LA Rams when they won the Super Bowl. Coach Woodbury has the heart for HBCUs and the background. So I don't know if he would take Valley though, because but yeah, I think Torrey Woodbury should get a lot more love when we start talking about these coaching positions in HBCU football. I feel like he would turn Lane into something. He would keep Miles on top. And he probably could do something with Fort Valley. I mean, even though that just seems really, really, a fool's errand at this point. But yeah, I think Torrey Woodbury is one guy that I would probably throw in there, as well as Bobby Rome. Again, Bobby Rome can fill any of these positions and have them a lot more competitive. Well, you have Valley a lot more competitive, but he probably could keep Miles where they are, keep Fort Valley where they are, and elevate Lane a little bit.
Another name that I brought up previously that I also think deserves another shot to be a head coach is Brian Jenkins. I think Brian Jenkins definitely deserves to have a shot to be a head coach. He will be a great fit for any of these institutions. I think he's somebody that should get some looks as well.
Yeah, I was going to say Vincent Dancy, who assistant coach at Colorado, former coach at Mississippi Valley State, but he just got hired by Mississippi State to be an assistant there.
Is at Mississippi State now?
Yeah,
he just got hired as, I believe, the defensive assistant. Don't quote me on that, but I know he's just
okay.
Yeah, but a lot of good names out there though for any of these jobs. If anybody wants to be a coach at Valley, man, just say yes, and they'll hire you according to Jerry Hoffman. They will hire you. So we're gonna shift from football for just a little bit and talk basketball. And something that caught my eye this early season has been the performance of both the men's and women's teams for Norfolk State. Norfolk State men's and women's basketball team have been putting it on the teams lately. Norfolk State, the men's team today, they played the number 1 team in the country, Tennessee, and they gave Tennessee all they could handle down in Knoxville. Just coming off a 3-game winning streak where they beat High Point on the road over the weekend. Just doing really good things. They have been doing really good things for a long, long time. And then you got the women's team under Larry Vickers. They beat Auburn for their second SEC win of the season. They're the best team in the SEC right now. I go on a limb and say that the best team in the SEC, Norfolk State basketball women, the best team out there. Yeah, but I didn't know how to frame this question, but are the Spartans as a basketball program the best basketball program, men and women's, in Black college basketball? Starting with Chris Stevens.
Can you think of anybody better? I sure can't. Right now, I mean, let's look at what the Norfolk State women have done. They went to Missouri, beat them. Went to Auburn. No Jeremiah Clark, we are not celebrities, but we are, we feel like we do our thing.
Oh, Ken Rashad is big in Grambling University. He's big there.
Big time. But yeah, Norfolk State right now as a champ D12 10-12 says they can't be anything lower than a 12 in this NCAA tournament. They have too many he's got a point about the strength of schedule right now, because you've got a lot of MEAC schools that are still playing, Little Sisters of the Poor. I mean, for some strange reason, I think DSU's women has VUL on the schedule. Why? I don't know. But, that's the kind of stuff that can hurt you. But I think what we're going to try to, I think what we're going to miss out on, to be quite honest, is that you cannot underestimate what the job Jermaine Woods has done with the Cobbin State women. Layla Lawrence and those girls have put together a fabulous non-conference season as well. And Howard is still, they finally got Destiny Howe back. Destiny Howe was a preseason player of the year last year, tore her ACL, didn't even get a chance to play last year. She's back and playing well. So the top 3 in the women's division in the MEAC is rock solid. But yes, Norfolk State right now with Diamond Johnson and Kiera Wheeler, they just look like gangbusters. I mean, and the men, I'm really impressed with the job Larry Vickers has done rebuilding that program, because he lost a lot of guys to the portal. And somehow they were able to give Tennessee fits for most of this afternoon's game. So
you mean Jones?
Yeah, Robert Jones.
Robert Jones. Larry Vickers is the women's
Vickers
coach.
of the women. Yeah.
Vickers is I mean, I get them confused and I shouldn't, because but they're both great coaches. I mean, you want to talk about guys who need PW. We want to keep them as long as possible. But if we're talking about guys who need PWI interviews, Robert Jones and Larry Vickers immediately come to mind.
Yep.
I mean, like, why is nobody in the mid-major part that's been desperate for a winning season reach out to either one of those two gentlemen? Because they put in work. So yes, short answer, yes, Norfolk State is the best basketball program in HBCU basketball.
I'll take it a step further. Let me just add to that point. Norfolk State, as it relates to Larry Vickers, if you ain't got the money, Coach Vick is gone after this year. He is gone. He is gone after this year. I'm pretty certain his name is already, if he's not already getting calls, that man is gone. Unless you can make it worth his while to stay. Robert Jones ain't too far behind. Because I
thought Robert Jones was gone last year, to be honest with you.
He ain't too far behind, but I'm telling you now, Vickers is gone. So let's enjoy this run while you can. I'm rooting for you, but he's gone. He is gone. He is out.
I mean, if Tamika Reed can get a job at Charlotte after what she did at Jackson State for all those years, like I wouldn't surprise Larry Vickers got a mid-major Division I job either. Job either at Norfolk State. Robert Jones too, like probably two of the best coaches in Black college basketball in the same
Kendrick,
school. That's crazy.
Seriously, I wouldn't limit Vickers, especially Vickers. I wouldn't limit him to just a mid-major. I'm talking Power 4.
Yes,
Power 4, Power 5. I'm telling you, look. You can't do what he's doing right now and not be considered for a Power 4 job.
And not as an assistant.
Right.
Not as an assistant.
And if he were offered a mid-major Power 4, I'd probably like, nah, I'm good. I'd stay at Norfolk State. That's a mid-major. That is a bona fide mid-major program right now. And I don't know how the rest of the season is going to go when they, start playing that conference schedule. But I dare say, if for whatever reason during tournament time they mess around and lose, I say you can still make an argument to give him in that large bid. That's just how they're that good this year.
Jed Hoffman, your thoughts?
Do you mind asking the original question again? I just want to
he's asking if Norfolk State is the best program.
I wanted to, because there's a reason why I'm asking for him to ask the original question.
Okay. Let me rephrase the question. Is Norfolk State as a basketball program, men and women's, the best Black college basketball program on earth?
Yes. Next question.
I got you. Okay.
There's no reason that the fact that you even asked that question, respectfully to you, there's no reason to ask that question. That's a given. There's no team, men and women, that is running as fluidly as Norfolk State. Not one. There's not one. Larry Vickers and Robert Jones being a part of the same university as the men's and women's basketball coach, respectively, is the only comparison that I have to having the Infinity Stones. The only thing that would make it better is if their football program was elite. That's the only thing that would Howard is close, but no. Norfolk State is in a class of its own.
Yeah, man.
It's just as simple as that. If Larry Vickers is not a Power 4 head coach,
yeah, man,
next year it's going to be a problem.
It's P4 buck.
I agree wholeheartedly with Ken. If a mid-major comes knocking on Larry Vickers' door, I'm hanging up the phone. I'm not even looking to see who's calling if it's a mid-major. If it's a Power 4 only, if the SEC, ACC, Big 10, and Big 12 are not calling, I'm not picking up the phone if I'm Larry Vickers. Robert Jones, if he is not at least an assistant on a Power 4 team, I'm not picking up the call.
I wouldn't do that.
And that's even if that. I don't think, to be honest, I didn't like Tamika Reed going to Charlotte. I really didn't. If I'm being honest, I've said this stat so many times, and I don't know if I'm not saying it in the right tone, but in Tamika Reed's final 5 seasons at Jackson State, she had an 88-4 conference record. That is not normal. And she's at Charlotte, not North Carolina, at Chapel Hill. She's not at Duke. She's not at any of the North Carolina institutions. They have so many colleges in North Carolina, but she's at Charlotte. With respectfully to Charlotte. And she may have wanted to go to Charlotte. She may be happy at Charlotte. I'm happy for her. but she needed to be at a Power 4 program. Hope she's doing well at Charlotte. Haven't had a chance to check her out, see how the team's doing, but she needed to be at a Power 4 program.
She's 5-7 right now, Charlotte. 5-7 on the season so far.
Well, knowing her, she'll turn it into 30-7. So I don't even know if there's 37 games in the college basketball season, but she'll find a way to do it.
They would have to make it to the national championship game, I believe.
Yeah.
But so 23-7 is fair, though. I mean, she can do it, clearly.
I mean, she's done it before. All them years that they were winning SWAC championships, they didn't do great in non-conference play, but they still found a way to finish 20 wins consistently. So if I'm Charlotte, I'm not.
Well, you know what? I see Charlotte as one of those programs, since we're on that topic. I see Charlotte as one of those programs that all you got to do is just make it respectable. You don't have to win any national titles. You just need to get it to a certain level of respectability. And before you know it, they'll say, yeah, we've got the resources, we've got the money, you can succeed here. That's all she needs to do. Just a key win here or there, but just make it respectable.
Yeah, she's getting a pay raise and more support at Charlotte, right. And she could have got at Jackson State. Part of the reason why she left, part of the reason why a lot of coaches pretty much end up leaving from wherever they go from. Yeah, but like Norfolk State, they're dominant, man. Like I was surprised the Norfolk State women's team got a 10 seed, maybe a little bit better than that, the way they've been playing in the non-conference play.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like
to be clear,
you mentioned like you couldn't like think of anybody else who had like a women's basketball team and a men's team was good at the same time like that. I could only think of UConn, like when they had their run with the men and women at the same time. Going to the Final Four at the same time and winning championships at the same time. So it's definitely unique for Black college basketball for it to happen for one entire program to be this good at the same time. Okay, now our last topic. This one has gotten a lot of attention online. We talked about their school earlier, but for football reasons. And I don't think somebody did say yes, and saying yes made everybody very, very mad. So Mississippi Valley State's marching band, the Mean Machine, I think that's what they call it, the Mean Machine.
The Mean Green Machine.
The Mean Green Marching Machine. My mom went there, I should know this. So they got invited to perform at the parade of the inauguration of Donald J. Trump, the 47th president of the United States, next month. And it created all kinds of backlash online. So Chris Stevens, our esteemed contributor, he has some thoughts on this subject in a columnist posted on our website right now. And to give you the gist of it, he believes this is a bad idea. I'm gonna let him explain further why I think it's a bad idea. Go ahead, Chris.
Thank you, Kendrick. And I want this to be clear. Let me be abundantly clear. All right, let me stop. Let me be clear. I'm not coming at Valley because I sympathize with Valley's plight. Because as I mentioned before, this school is probably the poorest of all of the D1 HBCUs, and that's not their fault. They're woefully underfunded because that's how Mississippi gets down. This is the state legislature that has, gone, radio silent about Brett, the nudie photo bandit Favre, sending, stealing millions of dollars for a Southern Mississippi volleyball facility. So this is, Valley's got to do something. As the university, I didn't even know Valley was only 75 years old until recently.
Mm-hmm.
So they, this is, most of our HBCUs are like 100, 115, 120, 130 years old at the most. So Valley is literally the babe in the woods. And I get it. But if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. And taking an invite from a dude who is the greatest threat, not just to HBCUs, but the greatest threat to the Black existence in this country we have ever seen, is ass backwards. And I don't mind saying that. And I want us to be better about how we use our resources, the invites we accept, all of this stuff, because there's nothing good about going and performing for Donald Trump. Nothing. I mean, look at what happened to Chrisette Michele. Nobody's even heard from her in the last 7 or 8 years. And I used to be a Chrisette Michele fan.
Oh my God. Go ahead, man.
And she played herself out of a career. I mean, she had some nice little adult contemporary bops back in the day. Nobody cares anymore because she went and performed for Donald Trump. There is nothing good that comes from associating yourself with a Cheeto. Nothing. And I get why Valley's doing it. I get why, they want the pub, because Valley needs something. Everything about their athletic programs is just like, remember when everybody made a big deal about John Morant's sister committing there for the basketball program?
Mm-hmm.
Has anybody heard anything since?
Mm-mm.
I don't think she's on the team anymore.
Yeah. So, not as someone said in Tiger Nation Undefeated said it best. All invitations aren't good invitations, and this is the least good of all invitations. So, I just don't know why Valley would do this. This is a dude who literally wants to defund education for anybody that isn't white, basically. And as far as I know, Mississippi Valley State, a bunch of black kids. So why perform for a dude who does not give a doggone about you? It makes no sense.
So I understand you say you're not coming to Valley, but Chris, I will say this, and I guess maybe I am kind of coming. There's a common denominator associated with this particular move, and that's the band director. Because we had this argument 4 years ago, 8 years ago, or whatever it was, when Talladega's band at the time had been invited for Trump's first presidency, and they went to the inaugural. They marched in his inauguration parade, and Valley's band director now was the band director then. The difference, though, is Talladega is private, Valley is public, and I don't know if there would have been any fallout had Talladega made the decision not to go, even though Talladega's president vehemently defended the band's position to go, which I guess he was well within his right to do. But I'm gonna just be honest with you. When I heard about Valley going, man, come on, Valley State supported in one of the reddest states in the South. It was Valley. It put like this: it's probably in Valley's best interest to go, because there probably would be hell to pay if they don't. And I say that respectfully to your argument. I'm not happy about it either. I just like to know, is there any coincidence between the band director being a band director at Valley and being the band director at the time when he was at Talladega? Is there a connection there as to why Valley is being invited to go to the parade? I just find that awfully coincidental. So that's what
that's intentional, Ken.
You think it was intentional? You think
yeah.
Okay, I'm just saying, because I don't know, but all I'm saying is that Valley's leadership, the president, there is no way they could say we're not going and not pay the price, lose the jobs or whatever. It's a no-brainer. But I get the argument, I really do. And if it is related to the band director, that could be somewhat troubling too. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, like what I want to say is I think we all can agree, like, we don't support Donald Trump on this show. But I will say, don't use this information to crap on Mississippi Valley State as an institution or those kids in the band, because I saw a lot of that. And no, I'm not saying you can. I'm saying like in general, the public out there. Like, because I seen like a lot of that sentiment going out in regards to this news that they're going to be performing at this inauguration. Like, they don't need any of that. And the school put them in a very precarious position to begin with. And I know they're going to play for the university because that's what they're going to do, because they're part of their school. But like, don't crap on the school, man. Like, a lot of these alums, a lot of these students, they're very proud of their school. They love their school, and they don't deserve none of these terrible comments y'all spewing online about the school, about how smart they are, how smart they not are, about the state itself. No, man, like this is beyond them. This is something else. This is something adults are trying to accomplish without giving them pretty much opportunity to say whether or not they want to do it or not. So that's all I'm gonna say about it. Don't crap on the school, man, because there's a lot of good people at that school and in the state of Mississippi as well. So I don't like to hear kids, no matter what they're doing, whether athletes or band members, be disparaged in that way.
And I could be wrong, but there's a part of me that wants to believe. I'm going to say wants to believe that there are probably a lot of people in Valley's leadership that are probably more that don't necessarily support Donald Trump than do. But because of the positions that they're in, they're just in no position to say, or as the point that Kendrick was making, to rob the students of the opportunity to march. Better yet, even go to DC, but to march in the inauguration parade. So there's something to that. So great point.
Yeah, great point, Cedric, man. Like, you know how Trump supporters can be. Like, I've covered some of those Trump rallies, and they can be very, very hostile places to be. Give you like a lot of Nazi vibes when you go there. But yeah, hope if they are able to go, because they're trying to raise money. I think it's like $350K to get there. If they're able to go, we hope they get there safely. They do the performance and get the hell out of there as quickly as possible.
Are they almost there? How much did they need to raise? 250?
350,000.
350?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're trying to make an effort. But that's all we got tonight, folks. Thanks for tuning in tonight and throughout 2024. We thank you for your viewership on our YouTube channel. We're starting to grow a little bit. All thanks to you guys for the support and your likes and your sharing our stuff. We appreciate that. Our website, we're trying to continue to grow it as always. Continue to read and share our stories. These guys on the screen here do tremendous work. They work very hard. As you know, sports news is not stopping. We try the best that we can to be on top of it and inform you guys each and every day. We won't stop in 2025. We're going to try to be better in that regard. And with that being said, Kim Rashad said the thing you said at the end of the show, help people donate to us so we can make more money to produce more shows and do more good work for the people.
You said it, but you know what? Before we go, this being officially the last show of 2024, if you guys get a chance, go to the website and read Kendrick Marshall's article, The Most Memorable Stories of 2024. And you will see that FAMU did the damn thing. And it wasn't necessarily a damn good thing. Shout out to them damn snakes at FAMU. ER, where you at, boy? Where is my man ER? God damn it, because you rattlers, y'all really do brag differently.
Ooh, Lord.
Boy,
I was telling guys, I was like, I'm doing this list, and like half of it is like FAMU.
Was it like 6?
Like 5 or 6 of the top stories were like FAMU related.
Where my man EA at when you need him? We really need to get E on as a special guest. That's my dude, man. But there were a lot of things that just weren't memorable, but I know y'all just damn 24 need to hurry up and get out of here. You lost the Valley? Damn, you lost the Valley.
That wasn't even in the top 10.
That's what I'm saying. But damn.
That didn't make the top 10.
What a year.
I was thinking, I'm like, damn, but they lost the Valley.
And then they hired a basketball coach in a 1-year deal.
Man.
They didn't make the top 10 either.
Wait a minute, what? We forgot about what?
Patrick Curry.
They hired Patrick Curry in a 1-year deal. They didn't make the top 10 either.
Wait a minute. I forgot about that. Shout out to Tiffany, by the way. We see you, Tiffany Don Sykes. We see you. Living your best life, sister.
Respectfully. Yeah.
All right. Look, If you guys get a chance, go to hbcusports.com/donate. Donate to the cause, support the channel, support our operation. Look, man, we have a passion for this. Okay. If you would make sure you become a level 1 or level 2 supporter, support the HBCU Sports YouTube channel, become a member, and become and get access to some perks. But go ahead and you know, and look, and donate. Look, we could really use your support, because I'm telling you, man, Kendrick is likely going to get or going to demand a pay raise in 2025.
Here we go again with this nonsense.
I've been doing this long enough to know that at some point in 2025, he's going to say, when am I going to get more money? Okay. So if you would, by all means, bless us. Because look, I'm going to see if Ashton Junty is going to do his thing against Penn State tonight. Is he going to do his thing tonight? I hope he does. I don't think they're going to win, but I'd like for him to show out. I really would. Anyway. All right, Kendrick, close us out.
All right. Now, I'm a father now, so I have a child. I'm not people watching our show are adults, but tonight is New Year's Eve. Y'all be safe out there. Call an Uber. Get you a hotel room if you need to sober up. Yeah, because we don't need to lose none of y'all the tragedy tonight.
Yeah, to
be
safe.
Clear,
he's basically saying it, but I want to say the actual words. Do not drink and drive.
Yes, that part.
Just to be clear, don't even get in the car in the driver's seat if you are inebriated or if you consumed any alcohol. I want to be very clear when we say that. All right, sorry.
Ladies, remember, J5 is coming. I will be in Vegas celebrating J5, by the way. So take us out, Kendrick. Okay. Yo, noobs. Yo. Sweet.
I can't respond. How do I respond to like J5 stuff? Well, whatever that is, good luck with it.
Take us out, man. I'm just saying. I'm just doing my thing, man. Y'all be good, right, man. He's Kendrick Marshall. He's Chris Stevens. That's Jared Hoffman. I'm Ken Rashad. Shout out to the noobs.
Happy New Year, y'all.
Yo, noobs. Yo, sweet.